Welcome. Would you like to introduce your name, course, university, and year?
Hi, I'm Amy. I am studying English at Bournemouth University and I am a final year student.
So Amy initially took a course at Arts University and decided after 2 years to switch to Bournemouth University. Could you explain why after 2 years of a course you decided to switch courses and what it done and what the kind of difficulties doing it?
Yeah. So I would say to start with that the main difficulty for me is if you leave a course after
Sorry, not to cut you off. Can I just say, could you tell us the course you took?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I was studying fashion design at AUB,
Okay. And you switched to,
English at Bournemouth University.
so what, as I so going on from that question, why did you decide to switch courses?
I decided to switch because it had become very clear that fashion was not the right course for me. The sort of stress it put on me was not healthy. And I think I got to the stage where I was like, there's no way I'm going to want to work in this business. So why on earth am I still putting myself through this?
What difficulties did you face on the course? So if there was a student who's interested in fashion, what should they know before going into it?
I would say if you're the sort of person who likes to do other stuff as well. So I've always been very involved in the University Performing Arts Society, for example. It's not for you. I would say you need to be very single-minded for that course. It's got to be your passion and it's kind of got to be your only passion, really.
Why would you say that?
Partially because it's so time-consuming. So in the lead ups to hand-ins, I would be in the studio 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. And it can have quite a physical and emotional toll if you're not completely committed. And to be honest, even sometimes if you are completely committed.
So would you say it's more of how much it takes out of your day and how much it takes out of your time?
Yeah, that and how much it takes out of you, if that makes sense. It's one of those degrees you have to put a lot of yourself into.
So obviously it's design and kind of expressing yourself. So as you
Yes.
said, being in there 6 hours, 12 hours a day could be very draining
Yeah.
after a while. So why did you stay for 2 years?
I think I probably started to realize about a year and a half in um, that it wasn't quite the right place for me, but I'm quite a stubborn person. And I was just going, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. Um, and kind of thinking to myself, well, I've already started doing second year. I won't be able to do a different degree now. And it was only after I had a conversation with my mum and she basically said, look, you're clearly not happy, that it really clicked how wrong it was for me.
Okay. And what was the transition from obviously AUB fashion to Bournemouth University English?
I mean, it was quite a big swing. It's a very different atmosphere. And I from conversations I've had with other people who studied at AUB, I think that's far more to do with the course than it is to do with the university.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, in terms of location, they're very close.
Opposite
In
each
terms
other.
of yeah, literally on the same campus, basically. Um, yeah, they're very close to each other. Lot of the same access to facilities and
Mm-hmm.
things like that.
So kind of just to expand what I mean is was the actual, so from the day you decided you wanted to do English, was it
Yeah.
just I'm leaving AUB and I start at Bournemouth? Or was it a talking as in, so let's say if there's a student who's in a similar position as you for their own course,
Yeah.
how hard was it to change courses to
Okay.
technically a different university?
Okay. So I would say the most difficult thing about deciding to change when I did is that if you've done 2 years of a degree, unless you have what they call compelling personal reasons for needing to change degrees. So, for example, in my case, it was the mental health issues I was having
Mhm.
with my course. You will end up having to pay for a year of your new degree.
Okay.
Um, but apart from that, getting that sorted was, quite a challenge.
Mhm.
But actually, apart from that, the transition was quite easy.
Mm.
I basically, I made a snap judgment one day well, I say a snap judgment. It had been coming for quite a while, but I finally realized that it wasn't right for me. And I think about 3 weeks later, I had my place on the new course.
And you just started your English course.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, there's all this paperwork you have to sort and stuff, and like informing government and all this sort of thing. But actually it was fairly straightforward.
So would you say, as you said, so if there was a student who did want to switch courses, the only difficulty they would face is, if you want to switch courses, make sure you do it as early as possible.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
For the reason of you switching course, really think, are they going to allow me to switch courses because of the reasons I have, or will I have to pay for that year even though I haven't finished that year?
Yeah. So I mean, I would say if you're having serious doubts, try and address them as early as possible. Partially because of the having to pay for
The whole year.
And partially because actually it's what's best for you. I don't really know what I would have done if I hadn't been able to prove that I had a good reason for changing courses. But I would also say, don't let it stop you if it's the right thing for you.
Okay. And finally, what advice would you give to someone who is deciding whether this is the right course for them, and it may or may not be affecting their mental health, or may not be affecting their physically?
I would say if you're thinking of going into any art degree, this isn't just for fashion, a really good thing to do first is the Art Foundation diploma, which if you are a student, like an 18-year-old student who's come straight out of school, you can do very, very cheaply, because it's a really, really good way of exploring whether you are suited to doing that sort of degree.
Could you
It's a good
explain sorry, as you go on, can you explain what that foundation degree is? Sorry.
Yeah, so an Art Foundation diploma is usually at a college. So I did mine at Bath College, for example. And what they do is usually at the start of the year, they'll have a few different elements of the course. So there'll be like a fine art, textiles, illustration, for example. And you'll get a chance to try out everything. And then later on in the year, you choose a subject and you concentrate on that for the rest of the year. But it's not only good for choosing what you want to do, it's good for deciding whether you can cope with the pressures of an art-based course, because I'm not saying that an English course isn't tough at times, don't get me wrong, but the consistent pressures which you face on an art-based course are of a different sort.
Okay, thank you.